As we've discussed in the last couple of videos, this process, this digging into your true nature, waking up, experiencing perceptual shifts, can be uncomfortable at times, can be painful. There can be emotional repression coming to the surface. There can be doubt, disorientation. Sometimes, even in the extreme, it can feel quite like an existential crisis or existential fear. These are all part of the process, but I wanted to point to a relief valve so that if anything ever feels truly intolerable, or it's just overwhelming or too much, you can always remind yourself or bring yourself back to peace, to simplicity, to this basic feeling of okayness. And there are a few different ways to approach this. Some are just simple and practical, like just put down the non-duality for a while. The practices, the inquiry, the videos, the reading, just set it aside for a bit, a few days or a week, and spend some time in nature. Spend some time wandering in the forest, near rivers, sitting outside, observing nature, observing animals, being close or in physical contact with animals, pets, loved ones. These all help regulate our nervous system, increase vagal tone, calm us down. So these are very simple ways to address our mammalian needs for relaxation and connection and physical contact. And they can be very helpful. As far as practices, inquiries, etc., simplicity is best. When you sit to meditate, you might consider just the approach of natural meditation or basic or simple meditation, which means you're not trying to do anything. It's just an experience of what's happening. You're not trying to have a certain experience. You're not trying to get anywhere specific. You're not trying to cultivate an exalted state or a mystical state. You're not trying to inquire into anything. You're not comparing your experience to an idealized experience, one you've learned is the right one. You're not trying to cultivate a meditative experience. Not trying to resist, and not even trying to remain in non-resistance. Just letting all those efforts go. We're not trying to make ourselves feel better. We're not trying to relax. We're not trying to do anything. We can let the one who's always trying rest. The one who's managing, we can let them rest. So we just become a participant in the experience of living. But it does help to put distractions aside. So it does have a basic structure. Sitting in a quiet space, eyes open or closed, and then just stop doing anything specific. We're not expecting something to happen. We're not trying to keep something from happening. We're not trying to manipulate our attention. We're not trying to keep our attention in thoughts or consciousness. We're not trying to keep our attention out of thought or consciousness. We're not trying to avoid sensations. And we're not trying to hold our attention in the sensations of the body constantly. If the sensations are there, so be it. We're not trying to avoid sound. We're not judging any types of sound. It's just what it is. If it's there, so be it. Similar to the visual field, whatever appears, whatever forms and shapes appear with our eyes open, colors, movement, that's just what's happening. It's fine. If our eyes are closed, we may notice patterns behind the eyelids, shades, forms, soft forms. Those are all just fine. We're not trying to focus on anything, and we're not trying to unfocus. It's just what's happening. So this is natural meditation. It's the ultimate non-doing. And this can help regulate our nervous system, help attune us back to simple presence without agendas, without any pushing and pulling, etc. And a third strategy that can be helpful when we feel disoriented, overwhelmed, like we don't know where we're supposed to direct ourselves or our attention, that is to remind ourselves that whatever's happening is perfectly okay. Whatever thought is here right now is perfectly okay. A thought can say, I can't keep up with all these thoughts, they're coming too fast. That's perfectly okay. That thought can be here. If a thought says, this is intense, it could be overwhelming for me, then we just tell that thought, it's okay, you can be here. It's just fine to have that perception right now. Doubt thoughts, fear thoughts, they're perfectly okay. We just notice the environment, whether it's internal or external, and remind ourselves that it's okay. It's okay just as it is. Once we've noticed it, it's already occurred. Once the thought is there, once it's been noticed, it's there. So be it. It's okay. The sounds are okay. The sensations are okay. Even thoughts that say it's not okay, even if they come again and again and again, that's okay. We can remind ourselves of this. And the fourth strategy that can be helpful in situations where we just feel out of sorts or disoriented or uncomfortable is to ask ourselves a few simple questions. What is, in experience right now, that's always at rest? That's it. Don't think about it, just feel into it. It might feel like a subtle experience that's just a little more restful, a little more at peace than the general environment. Or it may lead you into a deep knowing of a peace that's here all the time. The magnitude of the experience shift doesn't matter. What matters is the question and the surrender. So what is it that's at rest right now? Always at rest. Sure, there's a lot of thoughts. There's stress, there's disorientation, whatever there is. That's all here. That's fine. I'm not going to force it away. But what's here that is completely untouched by any of that? But it's here. It's in my experience. Can you find that? Feel into it a bit? Just a bit is enough, because again, we're not trying to push away any other experiences. We're just noticing that this overall experience is infused with a certain quietude and peace at all times. And by reminding ourselves of this, by reattuning to it, it often just comes forward. What is always at rest right here? What is deeply peaceful right here? What is unmoving and not swayed or pushed or pulled by any experience right here, right now? And we just feel into that. And that is always available. And the more times we remind ourselves to attune to it, the more it becomes instinctually obvious that it's always there, always here, no matter how much of a storm there might be going on in the mind. No matter how many clouds are in the sky, the sun never stops shining. No matter which way the earth turns, the sun never stops shining. It's always there. It could just be clouded by the view in the moment. But by reminding ourselves with presence, with deep peace, equanimity, that it's always here to some degree, we will reorient to it.